Week 7, Somatic Self-Compassion. Welcome back to the Schnarr podcast, and welcome to Week 7 of our Somatic Healing Journey. I'm Schnarr, and I'm glad you're here. Every week, we come together to grow and glow, learning to live more fully, more consciously, as we glow from the inside out. This is Week 7 of 12 of the Schnarr podcast Somatic Healing Series. If you're following along in my 12-week somatic healing book, that's fantastic. If you don't have the book, that's absolutely fine, but you will want something to write with and to write on. If you'd like to get the book, just go to the About section of the Schnarr podcast, wherever you found this episode, and there will be a link to my 12 somatic healing coach sessions for coaches and individuals book on Amazon. Or just go to Amazon and search for Schnarr Coach. That's Schnarr Coach. Be sure to check out the barberstarpodcast.com. You'll find the daily motivations, links to all the podcast episodes, and links to all the books. I like it. Over the past 6 weeks, we've explored body awareness, breath, movement, safety, sensory experiences, and emotional processing. Each of these practices has helped us build a deeper connection with ourselves and develop a greater awareness of what our bodies are communicating. This week, we turn our attention toward a quality that can profoundly transform every aspect of healing: self-compassion. For many people, self-compassion sounds simple in theory, but feels really difficult in practice. We often find it much easier to offer understanding and encouragement to friends or family members, or even strangers, than we do to ourselves. When someone we care about makes a mistake, or struggles with a challenge, or experiences emotional pain, we often respond with patience and empathy and support. Yet, when we face those same situations, our inner dialogue can become critical and demanding and unforgiving. The difference is worth exploring because the way we speak to ourselves has a direct impact on our nervous system, emotional well-being, and physical health. Self-compassion isn't simply a positive mindset or a collection of affirmations. It's an embodied experience. It's something we can feel in our muscles, our breathing, our posture, our energy levels, and our overall sense of safety within ourselves. When we engage in harsh self-criticism, the body often responds as though it's facing a threat. So muscles tighten, breathing becomes shallow, the nervous system shifts into protective patterns. We may feel tension in the shoulders, pressure in the chest, or a knot in the stomach. Self-compassion, on the other hand, often creates sensations of softening, warmth, spaciousness, ease. It signals to the body that it's safe enough to relax, recover, and heal. As we begin this week's exploration, I invite you to reflect on your current relationship with self-compassion. Think about how you typically respond when you make a mistake, fall short of a goal, or encounter a difficult emotion. Do you offer yourself understanding, or do you immediately begin criticizing yourself? Do you acknowledge your efforts, or do you focus exclusively on what remains undone? These questions aren't invitations for judgment. They're opportunities for awareness. Many of us learn patterns of self-talk early in life. Perhaps we grew up in environments where achievement was highly valued, where mistakes were discouraged, or where self-criticism was normalized. Over time, these messages become internalized, creating a voice inside us that constantly evaluates, compares, and judges. We may believe that being hard on ourselves is necessary for success, motivation, or personal growth. However, research consistently shows that self-compassion often supports resilience and growth more effectively than self-criticism. One reason self-compassion can feel uncomfortable is that we sometimes confuse it with self-indulgence. We may worry that if we become too kind to ourselves, we lose motivation or stop striving for improvement. In reality, Self-compassion isn't about avoiding responsibility or lowering standards. It's about creating a supportive internal environment that allows us to learn, grow, and recover without unnecessary suffering. Think about the difference between a coach who constantly shouts criticism and a coach who offers encouragement while still providing guidance. Which one would inspire greater confidence, persistence, and growth? Most of us thrive when we feel supported rather than attacked. The same principle applies to the relationship we have within ourselves. This week, we'll focus on experiencing self-compassion through the body. One of the simplest yet most powerful practices involves the use of supportive touch. Human beings are wired for connection, and touch plays an important role in regulating the nervous system. While touch from others can be comforting, self-touch can also create a powerful sense of reassurance and support. So take a moment to place one or both of your hands over your heart. Notice the warmth of your hands against your body. Feel the rise and the fall of your breath beneath your palms. There's something profoundly grounding about this simple gesture. It communicates presence, communicates care, communicates that you're here for yourself. As you sit with this experience, notice what sensations arise. Some people feel immediately comforted. Others feel awkward, resistant, or emotional. All of these responses are completely valid. Self-compassion is a practice, not a performance. There's no correct way to feel. The goal is simply to create space for a different kind of relationship with yourself. Another way to cultivate somatic self-compassion is through movement. Many people have complicated relationships with movement and exercise. Movement is often framed as something we do to fix our bodies or change our appearance, get rid of some calories, or meet external expectations. Somatic self-compassion invites a different perspective. Instead of asking, how can I make my body better? Try asking, how can I support my body today? This shift changes the experience, doesn't it? Movement becomes an act of care rather than correction. It becomes a conversation instead of a command. This week, explore movement that feels nurturing rather than demanding. Stretch because it feels good. Walk because your body enjoys it. Dance because it brings you joy. Roll to your shoulders because they're asking for attention. Let movement arise from curiosity and care rather than obligation. As you move, pay attention to your internal dialogue. Notice whether thoughts of judgment appear, and if they do, just simply observe them. You don't need to argue with them or push them away. Instead, practice responding with kindness. Imagine speaking to yourself as you would a dear friend. Breath can also become a powerful pathway to self-compassion. We've explored breath throughout this series as a tool for awareness and regulation. This week, consider using the breath as a vehicle for kindness. With each inhale, imagine breathing in warmth, support, and acceptance. With each exhale, imagine releasing self-judgment and pressure and criticism. You might visualize each breath as a wave washing through your body, carrying compassion to each of the areas that feel tense or tired or overwhelmed. Notice how the quality of your breathing changes when you approach yourself with care. For many people, the breath naturally becomes a deeper and more spacious component when self-compassion is present. An important part of this week's work involves paying attention to your inner dialogue. Most of us speak to ourselves throughout the day, a lot of the time without realizing it. These internal conversations shape how we experience ourselves and the world around us. Imagine that every thought leaves a small imprint on the body. Encouraging thoughts may create feelings of openness and support, while critical thoughts may create contraction and tension. While not every thought immediately produces a physical sensation, our overall patterns of thinking can have a significant impact on how we feel. When you notice self-critical thoughts this week, experiment with reframing them. If you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not doing enough today," try replacing it with, "I'm doing what I can with the resources I have today." If you notice the thought, "I should be further along by now," try replacing it with, "Growth happens at its own pace and I am still moving forward." Pay attention to how your body responds to these shifts in language. Does your breathing change? Do your shoulders soften? Does your chest feel more open? These physical responses can help you understand the relationship between self-talk and the nervous system regulation. Creating a self-compassion ritual can be a valuable practice. Rituals provide consistency, comfort, and intention. They remind us to pause and reconnect with ourselves amidst the busyness of daily life. And your ritual doesn't have to be elaborate. It could involve making a cup of tea or sitting for a few mindful moments. It could just be maybe placing your hand on your heart in the morning, practicing gratitude every morning, maybe lighting a candle, writing in your journal, stretching before bed, just taking a few conscious breaths before beginning your day. What matters isn't the complexity of the ritual, but the intention behind it. The purpose is to create regular moments where you consciously choose to offer yourself care and attention. One of the greatest obstacles to self-compassion is perfectionism. A lot of people carry an unspoken belief that they must get everything right, achieve more, become a better version of themselves before they deserve kindness. This belief can keep self-compassion perpetually out of reach. The truth is that self-compassion is most needed when things are imperfect. It's easy to be kind to ourselves when life is going smoothly. The real practice begins when we make mistakes, face setbacks, and experience disappointment or encounter challenges. This week, consider what it might feel like to embrace imperfection as a part of being human. Every person experiences moments of uncertainty, failure, confusion, and vulnerability. These experiences aren't evidence that something is wrong with you. They're evidence that you're human. What would change if you stopped demanding perfection from yourself? What would become possible if you treated yourself with the same understanding that you offer others? As we come to the end of this week's exploration, take a moment to acknowledge the courage involved in practicing self-compassion. For many people, this work can be pretty vulnerable. Learning to soften old patterns of criticism and replace them with kindness takes time. It requires patience, awareness, and repetition. Remember that self-compassion isn't a destination you reach once and then you're there forever. It's an ongoing relationship. Some days it'll feel natural and accessible, and others it may feel challenging. And both experiences are part of the journey. The more consistently you practice self-compassion, the more familiar it becomes over time. Kindness can begin to replace criticism as your default response. Your body may start to feel safer, your nervous system more regulated, and your relationship with yourself more supportive. Thank you for joining me in week 7 of our somatic healing journey. As you move through the days ahead, remember that healing flourishes in environments of patience, understanding, and care. The relationship you have with yourself influences every other aspect of your life, and every moment of self-compassion helps strengthen that foundation. So take a slow breath, place your hand on your heart, feel the steady presence of your body beneath your palm. In this moment, Remind yourself that you don't need to earn kindness. You don't need to achieve perfection to deserve compassion. You are worthy of care, understanding, and support simply because you're human. Until next time, continue meeting yourself with the same warmth and generosity that you would offer someone you love. Your healing journey deserves nothing less.